Okay, welcome everybody to another week of the webinar for this coming trading week. I'm not going to be able to do a live session, so I'm setting up the recording now. I will be sending it out very shortly. And let's see what we've got going on this week. So, right into it. So Friday we saw finally some selling pressure. And I think this is just the beginning of what we're looking at. I mean, on the ES on the weekly chart is not that bearish just yet. Still, an uptrend. We've been channeling over here. The candle itself is an inverted hammer, and we'll have to wait and see if we can get underneath it, right? As far as the ES is concerned, over the last couple of days, even though the ES had this sell-off on Friday, like all the equities did, it was pretty strong considering compared to some of the other ones. And you see, we just pulled back into the first level of demand on the 240 chart. That's all we did, and we bounced around a little over there. I think we have still a little bit more to go. I think ES is probably going to end up somewhere over here before the next turn and a push up. So we'll have to watch how this goes. It's really going to be dependent on what the NASDAQ is doing, right? Because the ES is not going to rally while the NASDAQ is collapsing, which I think is what we're going to start to see this coming week. But I don't think the selling in the ES will be as strong just yet. It's still going to, be selling off. Very likely a test of this, 2,700 and change area coming. Another 100 points or so down, I think is what we're looking at over the next trading week for ES. And then we'll have to see if they're able to, to start to bounce back after that. But for now, again, it's just a normal, healthy pullback in an uptrend. The only thing that's bothering me is that ES has never made these new highs that we've made on, some of the other equities. And if the selling gets a little bit strong over here, this whole thing could turn to a massive bear flag on the liquid chart. Right? I mean, should we really break down out of this level over here, we're talking about something massive coming onto the chart. So it's gonna, for now, I'm just saying we pull back into the trend line over there. You see that light color trend line over here that's been going on for this long time. We've been bouncing on it over here, but it's a long-term trend line that we keep trading back and forth. I think another test is coming over here, and should that break, then we have to talk. But for now, that's what we're looking at, about 100 and change down for ES this coming week. Take a look here. There's our 60 chart. We had that gap earlier in the trading week last week. Got filled over here on the ES, and then you could see what just happened. All this air was just wiped out. Just trickled right through the air. We hit this little demand zone that we had over here going on, and we just base. This is very well likely to be just another pause on the way down. That's what we're looking at over here. The end of the trading month is coming up this week. So, there's some adjustments and stuff that are going to be going on over here, especially the Fed cleaning up the rest of their, what they're supposed to be doing for their balance sheet. So I think we're still going to see some more pressure coming onto the chart this week, at least early in the week, depending on how strong the selling goes, we'll have to see, what happens later in the week. But again, if we look at the levels of demand that are underneath us over here, they're pretty crappy. Okay, there's something decent okay over here, but we already hit that with basing. This level breaks. This is just a little pause over here. This is garbage. The real demand is over here, right, at 2760. That's a pretty good looking level, but look how much air is underneath that. If that level doesn't hold, we're down to, a massive move down here. There's 150 points down to this area. So, it's not looking too great. I totally agree that the trend is technically still up. This is a drop-based drop, so we haven't changed trend just yet, right? We would need a lower high and then a lower low, but, we'll have to wait and see if we do get that off this level that we're here, or maybe one of these other levels as they start to get attacked. So, continued weakness is what we're looking for over here. I would say, if I'm looking for a conservative target, I would say 2760, a little more aggressive, probably down inside the 2725 area down here in this 2730 area for a target for this coming week. All right, that's what ES is looking like. Let's go take a look at the NASDAQ, which is even weaker. Okay, so the NASDAQ, first of all, the weekly chart has a very bearish looking pattern. Right, take a look at these last 2 weeks. So we had a doji at the top of the move last week, and then we just erased it. Early in the week, we had a big green candle going on over here. right? This was the open right here, and we were green up here, okay? New all-time highs, everything's great, and bye-bye, right? And then on Friday, this collapse just starts. And we end up closing not under last week's low, but we did trade well under there, and now we've got an inverted hammer after this doji over here, and we're looking at all kinds of air under here. You know, there's a demand over here. I should actually draw it on the chart, but there's one right here, and that's around 7,000. So that's like 500 points from where we are. So there's an issue, you know, on the higher time frame Nasdaq chart with this move over here. You know, the first level of demand is quite a ways away. Okay, and it's very, you know, we're in an uptrend, yeah, sure, but pull back into first level demand, that happens all the time. That's 500 points. So, you know, there's something up there. Well, you know, the first couple of hundred we started already on Friday, but the rest of it is still there. Another couple of 300 or whatever the number is, right? Because the highs are now 75, whatever the number is up there, 75 something or up, right? All-time high. So we're already down to 73, and I'm saying 7,000 is what I'm seeing over here. Actually, I might as well just draw the zone over here. And this is the line over here. Proximal line is right over here. So it's even under 7,000, right? 68 change, right? On the daily, there's the pullback that we've got. There's the all-time highs. Big ass engulfing candle on Friday. We hit the doji demand level, and we just pause over there. Underneath it, air. Total air. Right down to 7,000. 69 and change. And you could see it on the daily chart. This little level pops. We're down here. Easily. No problem at all. Right? And that doesn't do anything to trend either. I mean, we're totally in an uptrend. Right? So this will just sell off down here someplace, and then we'll turn around and then we'll talk about it again. But for now, I'm seeing weakness coming on for this week, and we'll see as we get down into this, you know, 7,000 and change levels down here, what happens. And this should, you know, hold it up for now. Okay, so the target for now, I would say, is this demand down here. You can see where it is, around 7,000. That's on the daily level. Let's go look at 240. You can see the gap get destroying price action, right? We had that gap down over here, and then we back test into it, and then boom, you can see all the air underneath it gets retraced. This is a little head and shoulders pattern that formed over here, right? And we came back and took out this as well. So there's some demand here. You can see that around 7,200. Should get some kind of little back test maybe. So drop into there, and then something like this, you know, testing this breakaway area over here. And then the next level down, boom, down into this thing, right? And again, you can see the target really is somewhere down over here. This one on the 240, there's a little pause at 7,100, so we'll have to watch what happens in this neighborhood, right? But I think this is really what we're gunning for. So keep your eye on that level coming down. I think I'm going to see continued weakness on the Nasdaq again early in the week as we break down through some of these demand zones over here. Okay, so. On the 60, so you could see the air that got retraced on Friday. Right off the gap, bang, right? Gap, go into the gap, massive sell-off, hours, boom, 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 boom. We hit our doji level demand right here at this level that we had last week on our chart. Gets tagged. Looks like it's the low, and then we just start flagging. Boom, 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 side, right? So, you know, we'll have to see what happens early tonight. Do they try to back test this little area over here, or they just shouldn't have dropped through here? Either way, I think we're going to see a lower high over here. It's going to be a drop-based drop, or it's going to be a rally into something over here, and then a collapse. These levels underneath us, like I said last week, are a bunch of crap. They're not going to do anything at all when we're selling off. These are levels that we would have joined, you know, on the way up when it's doing this, you know, big, strong rally stuff, and it just touches one level and goes. But now on the way down, this is nothing. This is just a pause, 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 break, 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 all the way through until we get to something that's more, I guess, stronger, I would say. But let me show you. Let's go see where they are. Okay, there we go. Okay. Well, too much there. All right, so the lowest one down here will get a pause. This one. Only problem over there is that it's been hit twice over here, so that's unlikely to do anything other than pause. That's the 7,200 Then this is the one that I just showed you on the 240. That's 7,100 there. And then again, this is where it's getting. I mean, somewhere down here is the target for the week. So this is going to be, something like this, drop base drop, or it's going to be back test over here, and then the drop through these levels. That's what we're looking for. Either way, we end up somewhere down here over the next couple of days. Okay, so look for the shorts for NASDAQ. Crude. Well, okay, we get a little doji pause inside candle over here, right, on the weekly chart. More concerned over here is this over here on the daily. You can see that it's a flag. There's no question about what's going on over here, right? You could see this long-term trend line that we had over here, and we're just banging against it. It's resistance. Boom, 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 boom. Then we get this candle on Friday with this wicked sell-off down into this level of demand over here, and it's a 60 level as well. And we start to back test already this little breakout. If this thing turns over, which I believe we're going to see, this is what we're looking at. Okay, 64, 64, 64, 65, 64, 50, somewhere into this daily demand zone, a continuation on the daily with a base drop coming over here. And that's what we should be seeing. Again, interesting, very nice looking room. There's a lot of air under here in some of the time frames that I'm looking at, pretty good sell-off coming for crude. There it is on the 60. Okay, so we got this smart little move on Friday, right? We got the lower high coming in, and we, made this little head and shoulders pattern again over here, and then there was the neckline, and then we broke down right into the air. We come into the first level of demand. There's the back test. You could see it. Boom, 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 boom. We're about to hit the supply. This should create a lower high when it does get short, okay? Because this level here, garbage. This level here, we'll get a pause at 67, but there's a bunch of air under here, still going. So when crude wants to sell off, which I think is what we're about to see, we're not going to hold these things over here. They'll pause and create new lows, and they'll base, and drop again. And that's what it does when it wants to sell off, and it goes really hard, really fast. So I think we were looking for shorts over here. You can see underneath this level, again, if we get down into the 67, so then you really talk about 66, 65, there's really nothing here. This is all one giant flag. As I zoom out, you could start to see it, right? This is the flag on the daily chart. It's just going sideways in here. When this thing decides to break down, which I think is what we're about to see, we're going to watch this thing crash pretty hard. There's a big stack over here, if you want to even bring it down up to here even, right? Drop, base, drop, base, drop, base, drop. 64, that's what we're looking at. So for, a shorter target, let's say, earlier in the week, I would say we're looking at somewhere around, probably around 66.50, with a potential for that to collapse into 64 even this week. So keep your eye on crude. Looking like we're going to have a good trading week for that. Let's take a look at gold, which on Friday did an interesting move. On the weekly candle, still very bearish, right? We get the hammer last week, and then the harami this week, right? We didn't really go anywhere. We just stayed inside. We didn't break down. We didn't break up. But some of the lower time frames are starting to show the strength starting to creep onto the charts. Like over here, right? We had this hammer candle here. We shoot out, right? And then we try to sell off. And then we end up making a higher low. We rally back. We sell off again. We have another higher low still. As long as we hold this bottom, we're looking okay. So you'll see, I'll show you on the lower time frames. We took out one little middle, this little low got taken out, but we still held in a pretty strong hold also. I think we've seen the bottom, at least on the lower time frames for now. You can see here we had a little double top action at 12:35. There was the middle, which got taken out like it was supposed to. It goes back to the origin on Friday, which is what it does, and that's when we called the V bottom, which it did exactly. We hit a little supply over here. It's a 60 level. I'll show it to you in a minute. And what we're going to see, I think, over here is just another higher low, and then we've got air after that. Okay. So this, and obviously air over here. So I think we're going to see finally this week should be the gold turnaround week that we've been waiting for the last, month. It looks like it's here. Take a look down here on this little smaller time frame. So there was the double top, which we're now going to right, say is completed. There's the double top. There's the middle. We did break it like we did, and we went back to the origin on Friday, which we did, and then we did the V bottom. Right, we had this drop, and we did the V. We pulled back, and now on the 60, we're about to make the higher low. This has to become a higher low. Because in order for the trend to flip back up, we have to get above this pivot. We already have the red candles on the chart, so we need to turn around right here and then go like this, and we'll be in an uptrend. Okay, so we're waiting for that to happen. And right now, it's just a pause. Okay, and it looks like we've hit some smaller time frame supply on Friday, which was pretty cool. The bottom played out really nicely. Take a look. There's our supply zone. Okay. There's our demand under there. This one like traded, I think, a little bit. I adjusted afterward. It went like just the wick went slightly under our zone. And then there's our supply that was up here. And we had this nice looking form V over here. On the 15, we got up. We get through the V like we're supposed to, right? After we make the first higher low, which was right over here, right? And then we get up to the supply zone. And now we're going to pull back. And this is going to make this 60 higher low, this pullback over here. We should see this turn around over here someplace. As long as it turns around anywhere before here, then we'll be able to break through here, and we're going to see an uptrend on gold. And once that starts, we're talking about a target of somewhere around 1240 for the end of the week. You know, this level up here, which was the double top, should break as we get up there, and then it's air for another like $10. So I'm saying around 1240, 45, something like that for gold for this week. Let's go look at the air on the 60 up there. There it is. Open this up, and here it is. See all that beautiful air up there? So you can see how the bottom is starting to form over here. There was our double top, so they can take that off the charts now, and right, this little piece of the puzzle gets cut out of the chart now. It's finished. Little formation. Here's the higher low coming on the chart now, and once we flip over here, we'll have the higher high, and we're good to go. So we get up here, the double top should not hold. We get maybe a little pause or something, but look at the air here. This is the target for the week, somewhere up here, 1240 something. Okay, long for gold. Good. Let's look at the dollar. On the weekly chart, the dollar has really been flagging. It's a bull flag, no question about it. Okay. It's also looking that it may become a double top. All right. So we'll have to watch it. You can see it's in this monthly supply zone, and it's just chopping back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. You can see it here for the last couple of weeks. It looks like, I don't know, 10 weeks or so. Not really going too far as a weekly range is concerned, hanging out in this little range over here. You know, this week we had this, well, it was actually last week at the new high. We sell off pretty strong. We come down into some demand, and we try to rally. Then Friday is a big problem for the dollar. This right here is an issue. An engulfing candle on the 240, creating what's looking like another head and shoulders over here. See it? Okay. Get a little neater, but here's the head. There's shoulder 1. There's shoulder 2 starting to form, which means we should be doing this. Which means that the daily chart's going to have this lower high, and we're going to do this. The dollar will go into this level here where the origin of this double top is sitting. There's the top, there's the middle, and there's the origin. It's down at 93. I think that's what we're looking at, a pullback. It's not, on nothing major. It's a pullback, little, breakaway into this little level of demand that we have on the weekly chart. That's what we're looking at. So, I mean, it doesn't look like a lot on the weekly chart, but it actually is a pretty big move for the dollar. Okay, so looking like we're going to see a sell-off over here. Let's blow up the 240 a little bit, and you can see that we've already put this little lower high over here as an issue. Okay, and if it starts to retrace this air, which it looks like it wants to do, it can easily get down into this level very easily. There's nothing there really to stop it. A little demand over here, which we sort of worked on a little bit over here. We started working on the zone as a level on level thing. Made the lower high anyways. Very well could break that. And after that, you could see there's just really air here. There's one little blip over here. There's this little wicks action, not really anything there. And then, 93. That's what we're looking at. So I think that's what we're going to see this week. The dollar's in trouble. Should have sold off last week, but there we go. It's going to happen now. similar. Look at the euro on the weekly chart, right? It's got this little bear flag that's forming. Big staff, and we got like, I don't know, 8-9 weeks of this sideways action, looking like this is what's coming next. I'm sorry, the other way. This one should be breaking up out of here, okay? It is a bear flag, no question about it, but because the dollar is looking like it's going to sell off, this one actually looked like it wants to rally, because if you look here, you'll see that it's got higher lows, right? Look at the lows over here. You can see that. And this is just flagging over here. It's being attacked over here, over here, over here, right? As you notice that, you know, it's getting tighter, but the bottoms are higher. This looks like it wants to break to the upside, okay? And we'll take a look at it in some of the smaller time frames. You'll see why I'm saying that in a second. Take a look here at this inverted head and shoulders. This is the one I was talking about in my tweet earlier this week when we were over here, right before this nice big sell-off kicked me in the face. But I'm looking at this. Okay, and here's the head, right here. I have a shoulder here and another shoulder right here. Okay, and look at all this air up here. I see that? So we did get resistance off the neckline again. When we hit it, we ended up selling off, come back into the demand over here, and now it's holding again, which means what we're going to see over here is another V bottom. It's going to go back, and this time it should get through. So the trade is actually better than it was actually before, because we can get the long even lower down at this point. Start the longs from here. We're going to get the V. We got a small pause there, and then boom, all this is gone. So this is a huge trade, right? From 1.7 up to 1.9. It's a 500 ticks. I don't know what the hell that is. It's gigantic. Okay, so let's take a look down onto the 60 and 15 and see how we're going to get into this long that's sitting over here. Take a look at the 60. We've come into some demand under here, it looks like. And you see this little area that was an issue for the neckline. It sells off, but it makes a higher low again. Okay. And you can see that we've already started the little V, like we had a mini V going on over here, right? Drop, base, drop, and then we rally back into the supply, right? On the 60, we should see a little pushback into this area, somewhere right over here, which is going to be a 15-minute demand, a 168 and something. If this thing starts to hold, now you're starting to do this, air. This is the neckline. We'll get a small pullback over there, and then bang, we're up to 1.9 and change over here. So there's a huge euro trade on the long side starting over here. I'm going to find that zone in a second. I'm going to go down to the 15th. Where's my mouse? Mr. Mouse, where'd you go? Okay, there it is. Let's zoom out a little bit. Let's take a look above us. There's the air, okay? All this air up to 1.9 to the top of this wick area over here. So longs in here, and we're looking at something all the way up here. Huge trade. Okay. Let's go down onto the 15 and look at that, where that level is. Where are you hiding, Mr. Demand Zone? Okay. Well, guess what? It's not even on the 15. It looks like it might have to be in something smaller. You could see where it is. It should be somewhere right here. Right here, where we have this failed hammer, right? A little symmetry we're talking about over here, right? Because this level here is this that we're looking at over here. What's missing is this piece. A little pushback, a hold, and then, you know, obviously there's some supply here, a little bit here. But once we break out of this bottom over here, we're going to retrace this area over here. This is like V-bottom stuff. We go up here, and then we're up through the top. So we want to get the long somewhere over here. Somewhere around 168 and change. Let me go see if there's a zone in there. I'm pretty sure we can find something based on this, you know, nice little engulfing candle over here. This big green engulfer at the bottom down there, and then the rally. So let's go see where the zone is. Ooh, there we go. Right here. So depending on how aggressive you want to be with your zone here, or, you know, this is where it really exploded over here, this engulfing candle over here, right? shot out of that. So somewhere right around here, right around 168 to down to 167 and change. That's where the demand is sitting for this trade. If the euro pops down into here, buy this. And if it just breaks out of the pattern on the top, instead of pulling back, so then we'll have to figure out how to get in. If it does something like this, and it breaks out. So I just showed you up there on the 15, I think it was. There was some supply just above us that we'll use to buy the pullback after the breakout, because we'll be creating demand when we do a rally-based rally. So assuming two possibilities, okay? First possibility is we pull back into the demand zone I just showed you. Over here, we buy the long. Good. Okay. Over here, if we do this, instead of pulling back, so now we have demand. Rally-based rally, right? We'll get a reaction out of this. We'll buy the first higher low after that. Okay? So either way, we want to try the longs on the euro side over here. And we're looking at a nice, really big move. All right, so that's what we're looking at for euro. Next, net gas. Actually showed some signs of life today. Not today, I mean this week. And you can see that we're potentially looking at an engulfing candle over here. Looks like it may have gotten above. I can't tell exactly, but yeah, pretty good. When we did have a rollover in this week, past week, but nice little pop there, and you can see that we've already filled the rollover gap. You can see that over here, and then we have a nice little. This was the rollover gap over here. We already traced it over, and now we're sort of in the air over here. There's still some more room. Back to 2.8 over here on that gas. We'll have to see in the lower time frames as we get down there. We're in some daily supply. What is this? I think this is just a healthy back test. Off of this pretty strong selling pressure that we've had over the last couple of weeks. And you can see it's like 4 weeks of down. So it needs a little breather. It is coming into a little support area. I wouldn't really call it so much demand. We do have lower highs in our face. So all this is just a little, let some of the pressure off, and we should be rolling over and breaking down again. So we're going to try some supply shorts up there as we get into some of the higher time frames. We're still in downtrends on the higher time frame. The 60, let's take a look. Have we flipped trend on the 60? Yeah, the gap is throwing us off a little bit, I think. And this looks like rally-based rally. Over here, there might be something. It's not really. Actually, there is 3 candles in here. So yeah, this is going to be a pivot right here. 3 down. We hit demand, and then we take out new highs. So the 60 is actually in an uptrend right now, and we hit some supply back there. I had this level that was adjusted slightly. I had to draw as the wicks against the wall over here. And it's put on this engulfing right at the end. We'll have to wait and see if we end up gapping tonight. Sunday, is always a wild card for that gas with the gaps. We don't know what's going to be. For now, it's actually in an uptrend, so we have to wait for the lower highs to come onto the 60 chart. Again, because the air I showed you on the 240 still has room, I'm going to zoom out over here and show it to you also. It's possible that that gas wants one more leg up into the next supply zone before it starts to collapse. So no shorts yet until we get a lower high over here. Okay, you can see that the next supply zone is not that close. Right? It's pretty far, actually. So there could be one more up leg coming over here into the 284 and change area. You can see what it was over here. Same level that I pointed out before on the other time frame. This is where the supply is going to be sitting. So we don't know what's going to happen here just yet. We could just pull back into here and then do lower high and then sell off, or we could do rally-based rally and then start the lower highs off of this supply. I don't know yet. So for now, let's just pause and wait and see what happens. And if nat gas decides to turn around over here and start to rally, you're allowed to go long. The trend is up. Okay, I would say the target right now for the upside is 284, and that's where we're going to start to watch to see if we get pullbacks and lower highs to start to shorts up there. Because from the higher time frame perspective, we still want to be short, and the short is sitting up here at 284. Okay, so longs into that level, and then short. Watch for the shorts to start over there. Okay. All right, and let's take a look at the yen. So we get a little pullback, after massive selling on the yen over the weekly charts. Bounced last week, a little continuation this week, and It's looking like just a little bit of a sideways action over the last couple of days, pretty much. What we're looking at is a bull flag on the daily chart off the lows. There are no higher lows yet, so at some point we're going to have to make a higher low if we're really going to start to rally. We're going to have to make a pullback over here some point and hold the bottom and then start to go. Well, that's looking like this on the 240, right? There's the bull flag. And there's the demand zone that would hold the bottom if we should get there. It's pretty nice, strong demand off the low. So you can see that there's no real higher low in here. It's a rally-based rally, and then this sideways action, which is the flag. And in order for it to go, it would have to pull back, hold the bottom someplace higher. Then we can talk about something like this. So until that happens, the lower time frames are still in a downtrend. Right? I'm sorry, the higher time frames are still in the downtrend, right, over here. So, we want to think about getting short higher time frame supply. We could see that we hit 240 supply zone today, earlier in the week, and it started to work even after it was hit multiple times, right? So the zone actually was like, this and this. I had to fix it slightly because, we got some bodies in there. I took out the bodies. And so this hit the zone, we pull back. Then hits the zone, then we pull back a little bit. Then we pull back even some more. This is just holding the pattern right now. We want to see what happens over here. If we come back into this zone again, it's not going to hold again. It's likely to break, and then we end up over here someplace. Right? The only question is, do we pull back first and get down into some demand over here and then turn around, or are we breaking out of this thing? We don't know yet. Right? The 60, I think, is flipped into an uptrend. I'm going to go check. I don't remember exactly. Let's go double check what we're looking at. And yes, it has. Okay, so the 60 is actually in an uptrend currently. And we've hit some supply. So you're allowed to take the longs over here. If this thing turns around, like I just showed you, there's room for this to break to the upside. It's a bull flag. We're in an uptrend right over here. And the pivot first one was here, and then we made a higher high over here. So there's the uptrend, and we just sell off, and we never broke any lows yet. So no problem. The trend is up, and if it breaks to the upside, there's room. We just showed it to you. Otherwise, the pullback. This is the magic level. If it gets here, that's the one you want. This beautiful, beautiful looking demand zone rally, base, boom, massive move up. Right, and look at the other side. You see what was there right here, and there's the bottom. Looks great. So that's really nice looking demand. So if we just drop straight into that thing, don't think twice. You buy that for sure. Otherwise, if we start pulling back and make a higher low, so you just buy the pullback. So we're in an uptrend. It's fine. Okay, and until we get up into some higher time frame supplies. Okay. That's what we've got for yen. Aussie dollar didn't do shit. So, looks like, if you look at the weekly chart, it's a joke, right? We're just flagging like crazy, going sideways for the last 6 weeks, doing nothing. The demand and the supply on the daily are holding us up. We're just channeling back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. We are looking a little bit like on the 240 that we've got an inverse head and shoulders over here. And all this mess over here is now coming out over here. And this one, if you look at the last couple of candles, starting to show strength. So we should see something going on. I think if we negate this big engulfer, which we didn't get any continuation off of over here, right, and we retrace back into this, the level will finally pop, and then we'll be up here. So we'll have to see how that plays out over the next day or two. But I think that's what should happen should we rally out of this. If we get this V bottom over here on the 240, we retrace this. This is the engulfing candle on the daily chart, all this red. We get back up here and we're into the zone should break at that point, because if it was unable to get anything going after this massive selling pressure, couldn't even get back down into the demand under here, then it's over. And then we'll do this. So we'll watch for that, because that's going to be a pretty nice move. Take a look at the Aussie over here on the 60. Looks like we are currently in an uptrend, and we had one pullback off the highs, right? So we already broke whatever supply we had over there. Actually, it's not. I redrew the supply zone over here. It's a new zone, this thing. And you can see the beginnings of the V bottom is here, right? Early over here. We got some air left into this zone. We get up back to the top, and then we should have something over here, a little pause, and then we get up here and pull back, and then we start this fun part of breaking through the top. All right, there's the higher lows again. So I think we're going to see the long start to play out for the Aussie dollar. Let's look at the 15 for a sec. Yeah. So there's our demand back here. Looks like we flow into it. We build a nice looking bottom. There's the beginning of the supply zone over here. So this looks like we should start to see a continuation to the top. Bunch of crap in here. None of this is going to do anything. We should be able to slice through most of that. Again, once we get back up here, so now, back through the top of the daily stuff. Again, this is the engulfing candle on the daily, all this garbage over here, right? So we get through that, and we're up into the air, 7,500 plus. Okay, so keep your eyes on that. Just looking long trade on Aussie dollar, pounds. And get a Harami on the weekly. All right. And the daily really needs to hold this. This is a rally off the lows that we started over here, and this is the pullback. So this makes a higher low if it works. Let's see. You can see over here in the 240, this would be a double bottom. If it starts rallying out of this, this is the middle. We go back to the origin, which is up here, which means we're getting back all the way up to here on the daily chart. So currently, this is in an uptrend on the 240, with the pivot being here, and then the higher highs, and pull back into the demand again, and it starts to hold, and then it bases a little bit. So we're sort of in a holding pattern, waiting to see, are we going to make this move, or is this going to break down? Right? We'll have to watch where it is. It's sitting inside the demand of 240 currently. I'm leaning towards rallying out of this thing. We have a nice little doji over here. I'd like to see a big green candle on the other side. Again, if we negate the engulfing candle over here, that's what's going to happen, right? This big-ass engulfing candle over here didn't get any continuation. It got a freaking doji. So if it gets a green candle on the other side, the party's over. We're going through the top of this thing all the way back here. So Monday will be a telltale to tell us what's going on over here. Yep, there's the sell-off out of the supply zone on the 60. We come back into demand, and we're in a holding pattern. You can see it. Remember, this level right here needs to hold. If it breaks down, there's a shitload of air underneath us. It's in trouble. Otherwise, if it turns around, expect that the top is not going to hold anymore, and we're going all the way through the top to the next level of the 60 supply, which is all the way up here. We're pretty much back to the, to this area up here. So this is it. This is the fight right here. We collapse. This is likely not to hold anymore. Maybe we get over here. We'll pause at 1.3. I don't know. But if we turn around, which I think is going to happen, we'll make a V pattern, right? After we get to the top of the V, a small pullback, and then bang up through here. All air. Over here, air. So watch for the potential longs for pounds. Canadian. Let's see what Canadian's up to. So on the weekly, it looks like we made a higher low down there, right? A little hammer last week, and we got above about 3 or 4 or 5, 6 weeks of trading. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks of trading. New highs. Take a look at the daily chart. You can see the higher low that came on the chart, and then continuation. Boom. This is now an uptrend. Right? Boom, bang, boom. We're in an uptrend. We've got a shitload of air. I mean, we have all this wicks and garbage, but that's it. So I think we're going to see a little pullback. Take a look over here. We should see a little back test, and then bang, off into the race. It looks like a lot of room to the top of this sucker. Oh boy. Okay, we've got some uptrends going on, so we're higher tactics now. Okay. So take a look at the 60. Hell yeah. Here's a very nice looking bottom. And we pull back, we make the higher lows. We've got some nice looking demand. So beautiful demand over here. You could see that this was a really nice looking inverted head and shoulders. There's the head. There's the shoulders. We break out of the other side. So we might come back and back test, make another higher low. Looks like we are flagging currently over here, right? Maybe there's some demand underneath us on a smaller time frame, but right now I would say long around over here for Canadian. Let's see what the 15 looks like. Oh yeah, there it is. Woo, boy. Pretty right there. So we got some nice looking demand sitting right here. Okay, keep your eyes on this thing. This looks like something that I would be looking for. Okay. targets. Let's see where the targets are. Where's the next demand zone on the supply zone? The 60 for Canadian. Looking at the long side and the target somewhere up at, let's go take a look. Where was it? Ooh. How about the gap? That's what it looks like to me. I would say the gap is probably the target at this point. A little gap sitting over here that needs to be filled. We've hit the outside of this thing. If we have a higher low, it comes through there. Gap time. That's the target. Okay, let's look at copper. So we know that over the last few weeks, copper's been getting trounced and pounded and killed and whatever you want to say. We had this little island bottom thing forming over here. What's going on, right? Little gap down. We have all this air over here, and then we sell off out of the gap right here on Thursday. And, you know, what it looks like to me is that, you know, if we're going to rally, we need to pull back and make a higher low here. This is rally off the lows. We're going to pull back. We have to have some kind of higher low. This is the only level that can do it, okay, right here. So we already can see the little head and shoulder formation over here, and we're already in the air over here. So this is going to sell off into here. That's what I'm looking at now. So it's actually shorts, right? We've rallied back into the supply list. So the daily, it's looking like pulling back, and we've got air underneath us. I would say it's just short into this 2740 level. After that, I don't know what happens. We don't know if this is going to hold. If it does, we'll talk about longs. If it doesn't, we're going to make new lows. We'll break down into this thing somewhere down over here. So for now, let's take a look at the 1560. I'm sorry, 60 is showing. Looks like it should be a downtrend from what I can tell here. Let's make sure if it flipped over or not. No, it's still up. It's still up. Okay. So we got the little uptrend going over here on the 60, right? And then we're selling off out of supply. You can see we've hit the doji demand zone, right? And there's actually another supply that was formed here with this inverted hammer over here, but a room underneath this thing. And then back to the level that I was just showing you that, you know, we need somewhere to hold over here, make a higher low if we're going to really rally out of the thing. So this is just a flag right now. No way to know if this is going to go this, or, you know, which way it's going yet. So I'll have to wait until copper opens tonight and see what the story is. Yeah, you can see over here. It's just, it hit the demand that we've had. It's got supply there, and it's just a flag. It's a bear flag. So there's all the room that we've got under here. Looks like a head and shoulders to me. Neckline is down here. So I'm going to say we're going to break down into this thing, complete this formation, and over here some places where we have to worry. This again, the 274 of what's going to happen here if we're going to turn around or not. But it's going to start inside here someplace. So if you want to try the shorts, at least you've got something to lean on. We've already hit the demand, and if it starts breaking down over here, you know, there's room over here, and it's just head and shoulders pattern. It should go back to the neckline. After that, I would exit here and watch and see what happens. All right, let's look at Surge. Started to show a little bit some signs of life. You can see on the weekly chart, we've retraced the last engulfing candle. Okay, usually a pretty bullish sign. We had a big engulfer over here on the failed hammer 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, and then for the last 2 weeks we retraced and we totally washed out this candle. It's gone, right? Retraced. You can look at here on the daily, right? There's the move right back, all this, wipes out the sell-off, and went back to the supply. In the process of doing that, we've created an uptrend on some of the smaller time frames. So it's showing signs of life, actually, right now. You know, it makes sense. Look how far we've sold off. If we look at a monthly chart, right? At the end of the month coming up this week, you could see that we've actually taken out lows from, you know, our last few years. So, of course, there's something that I bounce out of that thing, right? It's like 4 years old. It's 3 years old. So we've got a little bottom formation over here, okay? This is our 240 chart. There's the lows, right? And what we're looking for over here is a little bit soft. What's really, you know, got me a little, I guess, puzzled is this enough? This move right here. Is that enough? All right, so is that this I'm not sure yet. Or do we need one more down into this thing? I'm not sure. I really don't know yet. I want to see what happens over here because this looks like a bear flag to me right here. All right, so I want to see if we break out of the flag, it's going to put us back here. If it goes back to this zone, there's so much room over here. It's going to get through this. So I'm not clear yet on what's happening for switches yet. I'd like to see a little bit of price action early in the week. But, it's not show signs of life that much. I know. Be careful on shorts anymore. No more shorts. If you're being down, it looks like it may be getting over. Okay, so the 60 has given us an uptrend now. Okay, we had this gap on it was Thursday, I think, or Wednesday, I don't remember. A nice back test, fill the gap, screw everybody that got bought this thing early in the morning. They got crushed. We went right back to the demand zone, which was from back over here, right? And we went back to this thing, and we have some supply back there. The demand is over here, and then we hit this thing, and then it starts to rally. And then look right here, just this. That's what's got me a little puzzled because we had the lower high on the chart. And it was pushing down, pushing down, pushing down. This right here should have broken down, but it didn't. It starts to rally. So I don't know. Is this going to just do this? I'm not sure. Or is it just going to, do this? We have to wait and see. It's sort of in the middle of the supply and the demand. Right? It's right in the middle. So we're waiting to see which way the thing wants to go. If it starts to rally, there's room up there. And if it starts pulling back, it's likely to get all the way over here someplace. So keep your eye on the story if you want to trade it. Wait for it to show you which way it's going to go. All right, last thing is the bonds, and let's take a look there. And you can see that on the weekly chart, we've pulled back and started to make what I believe will become the higher low. Okay, we've hit the supply. There's our bottom. There's the rally up. There's the sell-off. Now we're going to start to hold this level. We should turn around this week out of here and get this move starting. That's what we should be seeing. I think we're going to rally out of this area. On the daily chart, you can see what I'm talking about, right? So the rally here, and then we pull back, and then we start to rally. It looks like we get a little bit of a lower high, so that's what's going on over here. They're trying to figure out what's going on. We're going to drop. This is a bear flag, no question about that. And could it just break down? Yes. Will it? I don't think so. We'll see. If the market really starts collapsing, like I expect this week, I doubt we're going to start breaking down too far. Let's see. So we got rally, drop, base, drop, base, drop. So this demand zone has held a couple of times already, right? Looks like it was something from back here, and it pushed into supply, sells off, rallies once, rallies twice. We got a little V bottom over here on the 60. And now, it's starting to look like it wants to get back to the 143 zone. Look above 143, it's all there. Let's take a look at the 60 chart. This is what I'm talking about. Why I think it's going to rally is this. Okay? So there's our demand. It's been holding. You see this little downtrend line? You could see it. We had a nice couple of ticks, like 4 or 5 touches. And then we break out, and then we back test, then we hold. And this is giving me right at the end, little engulfing candle here. So I'm thinking we're going to continue to look at the air up here. See this? Back to here. Okay, so I think that's what we're going to see, and if that starts, obviously there's supply here. You'll get a pullback and another higher low, and it'll start this uptrend that I think we're going to start to see coming this week on the bonds. So for now, I'd like to see it start to move this. If it gets into the air over there, I'm going to take that long. It's something that I think we're going to see beginning of a new move over here. There's just so much air up there, you can see it. We're looking at this is the first zone, which I just drew on the 60, and there's something a little higher up on the 15. But a nice looking bottom forming over here, and a rally up into that supply zone for the bonds. Okay, and that's what we're looking at for this coming week. Wednesday is a webinar at 8:30 a.m. Eastern. Should be live one, hopefully. If anyone has any questions about what I've said over here, shoot me an email, and I'll try and respond to you by tomorrow. Everyone else have a great weekend, and I will see you all on Wednesday.